Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, a big welcome. My name's Jenny and I mainly create lifestyle content on this channel, which pretty much means I make videos about everything and anything. I tend to focus on things like disability, chronic illness, mental health, Disney, fashion, beauty, travel, and pretty much everything in between. So hopefully there'll be something here that you'll enjoy, and I hope you stick around to watch a bit more. So for today's video, I'm struggling to decide what to call it at the moment, because I was going to call it Ways to Stay Positive When Things Are Difficult, because at the moment things are really difficult for a lot of people, and I thought it would be good to kind of just try and think of some ways to kind of, keep going while things are difficult. But I kind of feel like staying positive isn't necessarily what you want to do, and it can feel very much like out of reach if things are really, really difficult, to then go from that to being positive. So I think I might just call it How to Keep Going When Things Are Difficult, because sometimes that's all you need to do, is to just keep going, keep putting one foot in front of the other, and keep doing that until you kind of get to a bit of a better place. So yeah, I wanted to kind of make a video like this at the moment because there are obviously a whole load of new restrictions coming in for different people. Lockdown kind of measures are getting worse in some places, and I think a lot of people are just really, really struggling right now, and so I thought this would be quite a good video to make. It doesn't have to apply to lockdown, it can apply to any situation, but it just seemed like quite a timely time to do it. And instead of me just sitting here kind of trying to think of ways to do it, like to keep going, I thought I would kind of reach out to the wider public. So I put something on my Instagram and also on my Facebook, just asking people how they keep going, how they stay positive when things are really difficult, and I got quite a good response. So I've got a fair big list to go through, so I'm going to try and go through it quickly, although you know me, I am quite good at talking, so apologies if this goes on for a bit, but I just thought it was better to kind of ask lots of different people and get, a variety of responses, because everybody deals with things differently, and I thought if I've got a variety of responses to give you, then hopefully there's going to be some things that might be helpful. So the people that responded are going to be all kinds of different people. Some will have chronic illnesses and disabilities, some won't. So there's going to be different abilities and levels of health. So hopefully there'll be something here that you can use if you're just really struggling at the moment. So the first tip that somebody came up with is that they talk to their friends or spend time with their friends. Now obviously spending time with friends can be quite difficult at the moment because of restrictions. It's obviously different in different parts of the country, but it can be quite difficult to actually see people in person. But I certainly find just, having a video call with a friend or a group of friends can really kind of lift my mood if I'm struggling to kind of keep going and I just need a bit of a boost. Just being with some friends, however that might look at the moment, or just talking to like one individual friend, even if it's texting them or speaking to them on the phone. Sometimes it's just good to have a friend, isn't it? And we all need that sometimes. I know that it can be difficult if you're chronically ill sometimes to feel like you can make friends with people. My biggest tip has been, for finding friends when you've got chronic illness, is through the chronic illness community. I've met some amazing people through the chronic illness community, and some of my best friends I've met through support groups and things like that, things on Facebook, things on Instagram, going through hashtags and stuff like that. And also there's plenty of chronic illness creators on YouTube, and then they kind of come with their own chronic illness communities. So if you're struggling to find friends or people to talk to, I would really recommend looking in those kind of places, because it's just having people to talk to is so important, and just sometimes you really need a friend. The next thing that was suggested, if you're struggling and you just need to kind of keep going and need something to keep you positive, is to have a hobby that you enjoy. And I can definitely attest to this one, because I have my blogging and my YouTube, and I don't think I realised until things are bad how much these things keep me going. When I'm struggling with everything else and the world just feels overwhelming, it's really nice to just have something that I can kind of immerse myself in, and that I can, I mean, for me it's something that I can be creative with and that I can enjoy doing. So I would just really recommend, if you haven't got a hobby, perhaps trying some new things. It can be as big or as small as you like. So it could be colouring, or it could be I don't know, playing games on the computer or the internet. It could be I'm trying to think of different things. It could be running, if that's your thing. It could be making something, anything at all. It just depends what kind of person you are, really. It's just, I think it's just having that outlet, so that if things are difficult in other areas of your life, you've still got something nice or productive almost that you can focus on. Although don't get me wrong, it doesn't have to be anything that's productive, just something that feels productive or good to you. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I have a huge amount of hobbies these days. I think blogging and YouTube is my main one, and I don't know quite where I'd be without it. So the next thing that someone came up with was spending time with pets, and I think anybody that has got a pet will be able to agree with this, because when I am feeling terrible and life just feels too much and I just can't cope, the one place that I go to where I know I will feel safe and I will feel happy is being with my pets. And there's plenty of research around the mental health benefits of having a pet, of sitting and stroking a cat or a dog or a gecko or whatever it is that kind of floats your boat. But yeah, I don't know where I'd be in my life if I didn't have pets. I absolutely love our cats and dogs, and there's just something about having a pet when you don't really feel up to talking to a person. You don't necessarily know what it is that's wrong, you just don't feel great, and sometimes you just don't want to necessarily talk, you just want to sit and feel comforted. And certainly I find having a cuddle with my dogs or my cats just does just that. It just makes me feel happy, and they just have this way of knowing when you need that comfort. I think they've got like this sixth sense, because certainly like my dogs and cats, if I'm having a really bad day, they will seem to know to come to me and to give me cuddles and to just be there and to make me feel happy. So if you haven't got a pet your own, maybe you could ask if you could help with somebody else's pet. I know that's going to be slightly difficult at the moment with COVID, but there might be people that need their dog walking or just need somebody to kind of look after a cat or a dog for a bit. So it's worth looking into, because I love my animals, and they honestly do save my life on numerous occasions. So somebody else suggested that when you're really struggling and finding things difficult, one thing that really helps them is to set small goals. And again, I could really agree with this. I think even when things are really difficult, setting small achievable goals is really important. It kind of helps to keep you going when you feel absolutely stuck somewhere. Even when you're really struggling, they don't have to be like huge goals. It could be as simple as, I'm going to get out of bed today, or I'm going to get dressed, I'm going to make sure I have a shower, things like that. It doesn't have to be something massive, like I'm going to climb Mount Everest or something. Fine if you want to set that as a goal, but sometimes when even the smallest things feel like they're going to be like mountains, it helps me to set small goals, because one, it gives you a bit of a purpose and a work, something to kind of focus on and to do, but also once you've done it, it gives you a really good sense of achievement that you've actually managed to do something with that day. And feeling that achievement then kind of helps keep you kind of going to do the next thing and then the next thing, and it kind of carries on like that. So however big, however small those goals are, I just think goal setting is really important. Another tip that quite a few people came up with was distraction, and this is one that I certainly use on a pretty much daily basis. When things are really hard and perhaps you're getting a lot of bad thoughts, or you're just feeling really low and you just don't really know what to do with yourself, finding things you can do to distract yourself can be really, really helpful. You know, you might not feel up to talking to somebody, you might not feel up to trying to deal with whatever the problems are, or it might be that you can't deal with what the problems are. For example, with COVID and lockdown and stuff, there's not really anything that you can do about those things apart from following the guidelines. So sometimes it can just help to do something to distract you from what's going on in the world. And again, this can be anything that you enjoy, whether it's watching TV or playing a computer game or reading or colouring or speaking to a friend, you know, anything, whatever it is that helps you and that you enjoy. Just taking your mind off things for a while can sometimes just help to, you know, like reset you a bit and to give you a little bit of energy to then carry on facing the world. So something that one of my friends came up with, that I'm going to have to read off here because I want to make sure I get it right, was something called the power of 3. So she said, achieve 3 targets in a day or a weekend or a week, depending on your state and depending on what you feel that you can do. She said it can be something really insignificant, for example, having a shower or taking some time to read a book, or it can be something bigger. It depends kind of what frame of mind you're in and how you feel. And then she said to list your targets and tick them off. So again, it's very similar to the goal setting, but it's just a bit more specific with it being 3 things. And I think actually that's quite a good idea, because I'm terrible for making huge to-do lists of things that I need to get done, and I look at the to-do list and I just think I can't do any of that. I'm struggling as it is. That's too overwhelming. So actually just picking 3 things is a lot more manageable for a lot of people, and I think it's something that I really need to do. And certainly when you've got like a massive to-do list and you just feel like you can't even start, you're never going to get on top of that huge to-do list. So you're always going to feel like you're not achieving stuff or that you're not getting anywhere. Whereas if you pick 3 things, you're much more likely to achieve it, and then you're much more likely to feel good about yourself because you've managed to achieve the stuff on your list. So I think that's actually a really good one to follow because it's just a lot more manageable. So I'm definitely going to be putting that one into practice. The next thing that was suggested was to do something productive no matter how small. And again, I think this is a really good one. Productivity is obviously quite subjective to the person. What is productive for one person may not be productive for another. So for one person, being productive might be something to do with their work or something to do with study, whereas for somebody else, doing something productive might be simply getting out of bed, or having a shower, or making sure that you eat properly throughout the day. So again, it's finding little goals that are going to help you to feel productive. And I know for me, being able to feel like I've been productive does help my mental health. I don't really feel great on days when I feel like I've done nothing. Obviously this is going to be different for different people, and some people do need days when they don't do anything. But for me, I know that I need days when I get to the end of the day and feel like I've at least achieved something. So finding little productive things to do, and I think it's changing the way you think about productivity as well. I know certainly for me, I have always felt like to be productive that I need to do stuff that other people think is going to be productive and what society views as being productive. And I'm starting to change that way of thinking a bit and realise that actually being productive is up to me. It's up to me what I think is productive, and if simply getting out of bed or making sure I eat a decent meal in that day is productive for me, then that's okay. So I think it's important to base it on you and not what other people think is productive as well. So the next thing I think is really important, and it is listening to your body and your mind and saving things for another day if you really can't manage them. There's nothing worse than when you're struggling already and you're feeling terrible trying to force yourself to do something that you just physically or mentally cannot manage, because I just don't think it's going to make you feel any better. I know that kind of goes against the productivity thing, but you know, these are all different things from different people, so there's going to be different stuff that kind of fits different people. And actually I think that you can do both things. It's about, as I said, listening to your body, and you know, if your body or your mind feel like it can do something productive, then that's great. But sometimes I just think it's really important to listen to your body and your mind, and if it's telling you that it can't do something that day and that you just need to take some time for yourself and to rest, then it's fine to just take that day or the hour or whatever it is and put the things aside and say, you know what, they're there, they're not going anywhere, I will do them another day, but for today my body or my mind just needs rest and I just need some time to kind of recuperate a bit, because running yourself into the ground isn't going to help you. It's not going to help you feel any better or to keep going. And I think it's just important to realise that and to know that it's okay to kind of stop and, you know, just take a break for a bit. Another suggestion was to find an alternative activity that you can do. So if, for example, you have listened to your body and it's kind of telling you, you know, I can't do this, I need to just stop and do it another day, then that's fine. But perhaps you might want to find something different that you can focus on that's more manageable. So, you know, say, I don't know, you've got an essay to write, but it's just not happening that day. You put that to one side, but perhaps you don't just want to sit and do nothing. You can kind of think, okay, well, what else can I do that will still make me feel okay and that will help me to kind of, you know, feel okay mentally? Whether that is just putting Netflix on or watching a Disney movie, playing a computer game or something, just finding something different to do so that you don't feel like a failure. And I'm not saying by any stretch of that resting makes you a failure, because it absolutely doesn't, and if that's what you need to do, then that's what you have to do. But I know for me that if I put something off, that I can sometimes feel like a bit of a failure, and that's probably something that I need to challenge for myself. But for me it really helps to find a different activity that I can do, so that at least I've kind of used my time to do something else to make myself feel better. And I think it's really good to have almost like a little inventory of activities to do when you're just really struggling. So whether that is, you know, watching TV or listening to music or watching a film or whatever it is that kind of is a bit more kind of like self-care and that makes you feel good about yourself. Just things that you can go to when you are struggling to do anything else, that give you something that's alternative to do to what you were kind of not able to do that day. Something else, which is something that I do try and do sometimes, I'm not that great at it, but it does help, is at the end of the day to write down 3 things that you're grateful for. I know when things are really, really tough, it can be really difficult to think of stuff, and when you get to the end of the day and you just think, God, it's been another terrible day and I don't know how I'm going to keep going and everything's terrible, and it just builds up and you just end up feeling like worse and worse. But just sitting down and thinking about some of the things you're grateful for me it really helps, because it just helps me to try and find little positives from that day, however little they are. You know, it could be a really lovely cuddle with your dog, or seeing a really pretty sunrise, or hearing a nice tune on the radio that you like, or something like that. It doesn't have to be anything massive. And I personally like writing those things down, because then I can look back at them when I'm feeling really bad and realise that even when things are terrible, there's still little bits of positivity in those days. And for me it just really works. So I would recommend giving it a try. And I don't know, I just find the act of sitting there and thinking, what nice things have happened today, what can I feel grateful for, it just really helps my mental health. So I'd be interested to hear if it's something that you do and if it's something that you find helpful too. So this next one that came up is quite specific, but you could probably generalise it. So the thing that came up was that they find cycling off-road in the countryside really helps them to keep going and feel positive when things are difficult. As I said, that's quite a specific thing. Cycling isn't for everybody, whether it's just not something you enjoy or whether it's not something you're physically able to do. But I guess you could kind of generalise it to any kind of activity or sport, because I know that kind of thing helps a lot of people. As I said, it's not going to be for everybody. It's something that I find quite difficult because of my physical health, but you know, a lot of people do find that sport and activity really helps. So cycling, walking football, playing netball, swimming, all sorts of things, yoga, Pilates, dancing, whatever it is, doing some sort of activity I know can really help. It can be a good distraction, it can be something positive to focus on, it can sometimes be a social activity if you're doing it with other people. So yeah, if there is something like that that kind of really does help your mental health that you don't maybe make enough time for at the moment, perhaps it's something that you can kind of add into your day to just help if you're really struggling and you just need a bit of a break from everything. Then it might be something that you could go and do that just gives you a bit of time away from everything else, so that when you get back to like normal life you just feel a little bit more energized. So the next one I've kind of put two together because they were very similar. So I had one person said that they like to listen to music through their headphones on the loudest volume, and someone else said that they like having a little dance to music. So I guess, like, you know, music in some shape or form can be really helpful, whether it's listening to it loudly, whether it's having a little dance. Sometimes I find listening to really sad music can help, because sometimes I just want to have a good cry and I need to get stuff out, and that really helps me to then kind of stop after that and then carry on. Sometimes I want to listen to really happy music, sometimes I want to listen to Disney music and that lifts my mood a bit. Sometimes, yeah, having like really loud music can really help if you're feeling a bit like angry or you just want to kind of rock out a bit, or having a little boogie with somebody can be really fun. So I think music is just something that a lot of people find helpful when they're struggling with their mental health, and it's something that I probably need to do more of. I don't listen to music now as much as I used to, and I really probably should. So it's something that I'd like to kind of get back to again, and I'd really be interested to know what kind of music you enjoy listening to when you're finding things hard. The next thing that came up was around craft, so things like making something, creating something, doing some sort of craft. I know this won't be for everybody, not everybody likes crafting, but a lot of people do, and they find it really good for their mental health. So it's really good to look into it if you haven't tried it before. There's so many different kinds of craft that you can do. If you have a look on Amazon or go to Hobbycraft or something like that, there is just, yeah, plenty of different things you can do, and I find it really helpful, and it's again something that I don't do enough of. If I'm having a really bad day or I'm struggling to kind of keep going, sometimes just sitting there and getting engrossed in some sort of craft can be really helpful. Again, I suppose it's the distraction, isn't it? But it's actually being able to like focus on doing something. Sometimes I find with distractions like watching TV, it can be hard for it to kind of keep my mind off stuff, whereas if I'm doing craft, I'm kind of focusing on what I'm trying to do, and it works quite well at kind of keeping my mind off things for a while. So it's something that I really want to do a bit more of. I've got so many like craft projects that are half started, that I would really love to finish, but I think it's also important with craft for it to be more about the process rather than the end result, and I'm very guilty of it being always about the end result with me. If I don't get to do get to finish something, I beat myself up about it, and that's obviously not very helpful. So I think it's really important to just focus on enjoying the process rather than worrying about finishing something. So yeah, it's something that I want to try and kind of incorporate more into my life again. The next thing that came up from somebody was that they find it helpful to have a rant to their wife. Obviously this is going to vary a lot depending on whether you have a wife, but I think this could be applicable to any kind of relationship, whether it's a friend, a husband, a wife, a parent, whoever it is. I think sometimes it is just really helpful to be able to have somebody that you can just vent to and they are okay with that. Obviously you need to kind of make sure that it's a kind of equal relationship and that you're not constantly offloading on somebody and not kind of letting them do the same with you. But I think sometimes you just need to be able to speak to somebody who will listen, who will understand, who will let you just get stuff off your chest, because sometimes it's just really important to be able to kind of release that pent up frustration or anger or sadness or whatever it is that's kind of getting to you. And if you don't have anybody that you can do that with, I can really recommend places like the Samaritans. Just having somebody who will, like I said, listen without judgment is really, really helpful. I mean, there's plenty of different like mental health helplines, but the Samaritans are good. Mind is really good. And there's various other ones. I'll try and link some below so that there's kind of a variety that you can check out. Because sometimes it is really hard to talk to people that you love, especially about like quite personal stuff, because you don't want to upset them or you don't want to kind of put it all on them. So like helplines can be really, really helpful. So yeah, whether you're talking to somebody that you know or somebody that you don't know, I think it's really important sometimes to just talk and get things out. Another thing that came up that someone found helpful was going to feed the ducks, and this is something that I massively agree with. I don't know what it is, but I find going to feed the ducks really relaxing. I know, like when I was shielding, one of the things I desperately wanted to do when I came out of shielding was to just go and see a duck pond. I don't know why, it's just something that relaxes me. I love the water, I love listening to the noises of the ducks and everything. You don't even have to feed them, you know, just going and like watching them, I think is, yeah, it's just something that I find a lot of peace in, and I know obviously other people do as well. So if you've got somewhere that you can go nearby where there's ducks or some sort of nature that you can just be in, I personally find it really, really good for my mental health. I think sometimes when the world is getting too much and, you know, you've got like the news on your phone constantly, it's on the TV constantly, and you just feel like you can't escape it sometimes, getting out into nature and being around, you know, ducks or wildlife of some description, it can just be really calming because it gets you away from all that kind of negative talk and fear and everything else that's going on in the world. And it just, I don't know, I think I find it quite grounding just being around like the natural world. So if it's not something you've tried before, give it a try, let me know how you get on, because it's definitely something that I really enjoy. Something else that somebody came up with was getting a change of scene. Now this is going to depend entirely on your abilities, your health, your financial situation. Some people's change of scene might be going on holiday, which is obviously very difficult at the moment. Somebody might, like I said, like to go to the duck pond and have a look at the ducks. Somebody might like to go for a walk. But for a lot of people with chronic illnesses, or if somebody's perhaps shielding or something, leaving the house isn't always possible. So getting a change of scene can be really difficult. But even just going to a different room or going out in the garden or just stepping outside the front door and feeling like, you know, the air on your face, it can really help, because sometimes I know I find like I might be in the same room for most of the day, and if you're feeling really bad anyway and you're in that same room, it can be difficult to escape those feelings because you start to associate it with that room. So I do find, like, if I'm really not very well and I'm in one room a lot, sometimes just getting up and going into a different room for a bit can have quite a big effect. And you might think it sounds like such a small thing, but if you're kind of if you've been in that situation, I think you'll probably understand how important just getting a little change of scene is. So yeah, give it a try, because certainly for me, and I know for a lot of other people, it really, really helps. Another thing that can really help is to plan something to look forward to. Now this one I personally am finding is very difficult at the moment. It's difficult to plan anything at the moment because you just don't know what restrictions are going to be like tomorrow, let alone like a couple of weeks away, and the things that you may have planned before, so holidays or going out with people, it's just not possible at the moment because you don't know when you're going to be able to do it. But you can still plan things to look forward to. They just don't have to be the same things that you would usually plan. So for example, you could plan a nice meal to have, or you could plan to have a cup of hot chocolate and watch your favourite film. You could plan a video call with somebody. There's so many little things that you could plan, and certainly for me, through being chronically ill, I have found that I have kind of become a lot more appreciative of the little things. You just have to, because you know, a lot of the bigger things are taken away from you, and so you have to start appreciating the little things a bit more, and it can really help. And I think that a lot of people who maybe aren't chronically ill would find that helpful at the moment, because you know, life is very, very different. So even if it's really little things that you can just do in your house, it's just nice to have little things to look forward to. You know, perhaps you're working at home all day, it would be nice to just think, okay, at the end of today I am going to cook my favourite meal, or I'm going to watch an episode of my favourite like documentary, or whatever it is that you're watching at the moment. Just having that little thing to keep you going throughout the day can be really, really important, and it's something that I do quite a lot, and it keeps me going when things are really tough. So the next two I'm going to keep together because they're fairly similar, but someone suggested that something like making somebody a gift or writing somebody a card really helps them. And this is, again, is something that I have always found really helpful. Ever since I became chronically ill, I got into like writing to pen pals and things like that, and yeah, it really, really helps. Something about just, I don't know, putting pen to paper and sending a card to somebody that you know will make them smile makes you feel like you have a purpose, and it makes, I don't know, it makes me feel good. Making somebody a gift, obviously, you know, it's something creative that you can do. It's not for everybody, but I quite enjoyed making things for people. But I'm much more of a like, I'm not very good at making stuff, so I'm much more of a like letter writing type person. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, I think it's that whole thing of doing something nice for somebody else, because I know when I'm feeling really bad, sometimes the things that make me feel the best are stuff that I do for other people. So yeah, even if like you've never done like pen pal writing before, perhaps just write a nice little card for your next door neighbour or a family member that you haven't been able to see, because it just makes me smile knowing that I've made somebody else smile. The next thing that someone came up with might sound a little bit counterproductive, but actually I support this one, and it is having a nap. And you might kind of wonder, how does that keep you feeling positive or help you to keep going when things are difficult? And certainly for me, if things are hard and I am struggling, my body reacts, and I find that I get a lot more tired, and I'm just, yeah, struggle to keep going. And sometimes your body just needs rest, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with having a nap. If your body needs sleep, then that is absolutely fine. It's taken me quite a long time to accept the fact that it's okay to nap during the day. Certainly I have gone through a number of years of being told by medical professionals that I shouldn't sleep during the day, that it's not good. Society kind of views it as being lazy, and actually, you know what, my body needs it. I need to sleep during the day, and that's okay, and that is what helps me to keep going. I wanted to include the next one because it is something that came up when I asked people, I accept that this isn't going to be for everybody, but I thought it was important to still share it. So for this person, they find that reading the Bible, especially Psalms, really helps them. As I said, I know not everybody is religious, but if you are religious, then perhaps this is something that might help you. I am religious, I'm a Christian, but I'm not massively great at reading the Bible. I'll kind of hold my hands up and say that. So it's something that I will try and look into, especially Psalms, because they brought that up specifically. I will just be interested to see if it's something that helps me, and I'd be interested to know if it's something that helps you as well. And then the last few, I think, are about being like kinder to yourself. So the first one was realising that it's okay to write the day off and start again tomorrow. Sometimes, you know, things just get on top of you, and that's okay, and you just need to reset. And you know, it's not worth forcing yourself and making yourself feel worse just to try and, I don't know, be socially acceptable and be productive and do what people expect you to do. Sometimes, you know, it's just okay to have a day when you feel rubbish and you don't do anything and you feel crap, and to say, yeah, that's okay, today's a write-off and I'm kind of accepting that, and I'm going to try again tomorrow. And I think for me, I certainly have days like that, and those things do help me keep me going when life gets hard, because I think it's really important to just accept that not every day is going to be good, and you're not going to feel positive every day, but that there's always tomorrow, and that's okay. Another thing is to remind yourself that this isn't going to be forever. Whatever the situation is that you're finding hard, I think reminding yourself that, you know, everything is temporary is really important, and that, you know, even if it's a permanent situation, reminding yourself that the way you're feeling at this very moment isn't going to last forever really, really helps. I know that I've had times when my mental health has been really bad, or I've been grieving for somebody, and it has just felt like I just can't imagine ever feeling any other way again. And reminding myself that, yes, it's awful now, it hurts, I feel terrible, but that I'm not going to feel like this, like exactly like this forever, is really helpful. It just helps to keep me going and to keep me like going through what is a really, really difficult time. So, you know, if you're feeling awful at the moment, just remind yourself that you're not going to feel like this forever. You will feel a bit better, even if it takes a while. It's not going to be like this forever. And then the last one that came up was just telling yourself that it's okay not to be okay. I think, you know, I felt really worried about making this video because, you know, talking about tips of how to stay positive when things are difficult, I was worried that people would kind of think, well, I have to feel positive, I can't be struggling, and that's not what I want this to come across as at all. You know, I want to kind of come up with ideas and things that will help, but it's perfectly all right not to be okay, and it's okay to struggle, and it's okay to feel bad, and it's okay to have awful days and to just feel completely lost with everything that's happening at the moment. And I think when you realise that it's all right to feel like that, it takes a lot of pressure off, because I know for me, with some of the like mental health work that I've done, there's been so much focus on challenging your negative thoughts and, you know, trying to make yourself feel better, that you don't allow yourself to accept the way you're feeling at the moment, and you beat yourself up for feeling like that, and that doesn't help. So, you know, just reassuring yourself that if you feel really terrible, that's okay. You know, it's not okay that, you know, for you to feel like that forever, because that would be crap, but it's all right to feel like that at the moment. And certainly with the situation at the moment, if you feel terrible, it's pretty justified. I think everybody does, and it's a pretty normal reaction. So don't beat yourself up if you're struggling, because, as I said, it's normal. It's it's a horrible time at the moment for everybody. However you're being affected, everybody's, you know, affected slightly differently, but it's okay to be struggling with it. You know, I think if you weren't struggling with it, I would be more concerned than if you are. So don't beat yourself up for feeling bad, for struggling, for not kind of reaching like your normal goals and your normal best, because this is not a normal situation, and that's okay. So just keep reassuring yourself that it's all right to feel how you're feeling, and to just accept it, and to feel that actually I'm allowed to feel like this. You know, that doesn't stop you from reaching out for help, that doesn't stop you from trying to find ways to help yourself, but it does take the pressure off the fact that, you know, you are allowed to feel like this at the moment. So I really hope that there has been something there from all the different responses that I got from people that you will find helpful. As I said, I'm going to try and put some like helplines and things like that in the description, because I know people are really struggling at the moment, and I think, yeah, it's just really important to reach out for help in some way. So do check out the description for those kind of things. If you have found this helpful and you'd like to see more videos from me, please give me a like and subscribe to my channel. Also hit the notification bell, that means you'll get notified every time I upload a video so you don't miss anything. Leave me a comment, let me know if any of the tips that I've come up with in this video have been helpful to you. But also I'd really love it if you could include your own things, so things that you find really helpful when you're finding life difficult. What kind of things help you to stay positive? What kind of things help you to just keep going? Share them in the description, in the comments below, because it would be really good to just share them with other people and to kind of keep this conversation going. Also, let me know if there's any other videos you'd like me to do, whether it's about chronic illness, physical health, mental health, disability, or something completely different, Disney, fashion, beauty, whatever it is. Do let me know, because it's really important to let me know what you guys want to see, because then I can make the videos that you want to see. Also, come and follow me on social media. My links are in the description below, but I'll pop my Instagram and Twitter up here. Those are the two platforms that I'm mainly on, so do come and say hello over there, because that would be lovely to talk to you. And I'll see you in another video very soon. Bye!